Welcome to Forklift Safety Training. In this course, you'll learn about forklift types, components, safe operating procedures, and the precautions needed to avoid accidents in loading areas, docks, trailers, and everyday workplace operations. After completing this course, you should be able to identify different types and components of forklifts, understand forklift capacity and ratings, follow safe operating procedures, apply important safety rules to avoid accidents, and demonstrate a basic understanding of how to operate a forklift safely on loading docks and inside trailers. Refresher training, along with an evaluation of its effectiveness, should be conducted whenever needed to make sure an operator still has the knowledge and skills required to operate a powered industrial truck safely. This refresher training should be provided when an operator is observed driving unsafely, has been involved in an accident or near miss, receives an evaluation showing unsafe operation, is assigned a different type of truck, or when workplace conditions change in a way that could affect safe operation. Operators must also be recertified every 3 years. You risk property damage, serious injury, or death to yourself and others if you are not trained on forklift safety, are unfamiliar with the specific forklift you are using, operate the forklift unsafely, or use a forklift with missing or defective parts. When any of these conditions exist, training is required before the forklift is operated. The most common types of forklifts are counterbalance forklifts and narrow aisle forklifts. Counterbalance forklifts are commonly used on construction sites, in manufacturing areas, and at loading terminals, and they are usually powered by some type of combustion engine. Narrow aisle forklifts are more common in warehouses and distribution centers because they are designed to work in tight indoor spaces and are usually electrically powered. Before learning how to operate a forklift safely, it's important to understand its basic components and how those parts affect load handling, stability, visibility, and control. Knowing the main parts of the truck helps operators recognize hazards earlier and use the equipment correctly. On a forklift, the mast and carriage make up the vertical assembly that raises, lowers, and tilts the load. Some mast configurations can reduce visibility, and when that happens, the operator should travel with the load trailing. The forks, also called tines or blades, carry the load and must be inspected for hazards such as cracks, bent shanks, uneven tips, worn hooks, damaged positioning locks, or missing or unreadable markings. The forklift nameplate provides important information the operator must understand, including the specifications of the truck and any approved attachments. The nameplate also lists the maximum weight the forklift can safely lift, and exceeding that capacity can be extremely dangerous. Operators also need to remember that adding an attachment lowers the forklift's capacity and that load size, position, and weight distribution all affect safe lifting. Seatbelts must always be used, since a common cause of forklift fatalities is the operator failing to wear one. A forklift's rated capacity is based on a 24-inch load center, and the farther the load is from the backrest, the more the lifting capacity is reduced. Even moving the load a few inches can reduce safe capacity by hundreds of pounds. For example, a forklift rated for 5,000 pounds can drop to 3,800 pounds if the load is moved 1 foot from the backrest. Operators should know the weight of the load whenever possible, and if they are unsure, they can test stability by lifting the load about an inch and checking whether the rear wheels stay grounded and steering remains effective. Understanding forklift components also means understanding how the truck's design affects lifting, balance, and safe operation. Each part contributes to stability and performance, so operators should know what to inspect and how those parts work together before using the equipment. Forklifts work by using the lever and fulcrum principle, which allows them to lift very heavy objects. On most forklifts, the pivot point is at the drive wheels, while on a narrow aisle forklift, it is at the wheels directly under the load. Before operating, the forklift should be inspected. The operator should climb on and buckle up, apply the brake, shift to neutral, and start the truck. Once running, the gauges, steering, and fork controls should all be checked to confirm proper operation. To lift a load safely, approach it at the center and stop with the forks about 1 foot away. Lower the forks until they are level and at the right height, then drive forward until the load touches the backrest. Once in position, lift the load high enough to clear the surface below it. Check that the area is clear and tilt the mast back so the load is stabilized against the backrest. To put a load down, stop about 1 foot from the location where it will rest and tilt the mast forward to level the forks. Drive forward carefully to the exact spot, lower the forks until the load rests on the floor, and tilt the mast slightly forward to allow a smooth retreat. Before backing out, check to make sure the area behind you is clear. To remove a load from the top of a stack, approach it the same way you would approach a load on the floor. Stop about 1 foot away, raise the forks to the correct height, level them, and drive forward until the load rests against the backrest. Lift the load high enough to clear the stack, back out, lower the load to a safe travel height, and tilt the mast back again before moving. To place a load on top of a stack, approach the stack squarely and stop about 1 foot away. Raise the load high enough to clear the top of the stack, then drive forward until the load is centered above it. Level the forks, lower the load into place, and then slowly back out once the load is settled. When operating a forklift, load should only be lifted or lowered when the truck is completely stopped. Forklift steering is different from automobile steering because the rear wheels do the steering rather than the front wheels. This causes the rear end to swing out quickly, especially at higher speeds, and makes control more difficult. Because the front wheels act as the pivot point, operators should always slow down for turns and swing wide to line up properly with their destination. When carrying a load, never exceed the forklift's rated capacity. If you need to leave the forklift, lower the load to the ground, shut off the engine, and set the parking brake. Make sure the load is stable before lifting. Keep your hands and feet inside the truck while operating. Spread the forks as wide as the load allows. Never slam on the brakes with a loaded forklift. Never use broken pallets, and always obey traffic signs. A forklift's condition can change throughout the day, so it should be inspected before each use. Check the mast for damage. Make sure rollers and chains are intact and greased. Spread the forks evenly. Inspect fluid levels and hydraulic lines, and check the condition and pressure of the tires if they are pneumatic. Because forklifts may be powered by batteries, propane, or diesel, operators must also inspect batteries for cracks and loose cables, and inspect propane tanks for damage or loose connections, while keeping all ignition sources away. At some point, forklift operators will need to refuel, whether that means changing a propane tank or adding gasoline or diesel fuel. Fueling should always take place in an approved area, and any spilled gasoline or diesel must be cleaned up immediately. Equipment should never be fueled while the engine is running or the electrical system is on, and LP gas cylinders must be installed securely and stored in an approved location. Forklifts may be operated on many different surfaces, but most are not designed for slippery terrain. When driving on slick surfaces, operators should slow down, brake gently, and avoid sharp turns. In tight spaces, fork position and steering angle can help improve maneuverability. Operators also need to stay aware of overhead obstructions, give pedestrians the right-of-way, avoid setting down or picking up loads near people, use the horn at blind corners and doorways, look over both shoulders when backing, confirm that the backup alarm is working, avoid carrying riders and steer clear of debris, sand, mud, and oil. Before driving up a ramp at a loading dock, check that the bridge plate between the dock and the truck is secure and will not move while crossing. Also make sure the truck wheels are chocked so the vehicle cannot roll away. Drive smoothly and steadily across the bridge plate without accelerating, since sudden movement can dislodge the plate and cause a deadly accident. When operating inside a semi-trailer, first inspect the trailer floor because weak or damaged flooring can create a serious hazard. Watch the overhead clearance carefully, confirm that the trailer wheels are chocked and the bridge is secure, and use the dock light if one is available because visibility inside the trailer may be limited. When carrying a load, travel forward up the ramp, and when removing a load, travel in reverse down the ramp. Always move slowly and steadily on the ramp, because one sudden turn can cause a sideways tip over. Forklift accidents at loading areas usually happen in one of two ways. The truck tips sideways or tips backward. If a forklift tips to one side, the operator should stay in the seat, hold the steering wheel firmly, and brace into the seat. The mast will help prevent a complete rollover. Side tip-overs can often be avoided by staying off slippery surfaces, traveling slowly, and keeping the forks low. Backward tip-overs usually happen when a truck rolls away from the dock or a dock plate moves out of place, which is why wheel chocks and secure dock plates are so important. Fixed jacks may be needed to support a semi-trailer during loading or unloading when it is not attached to a tractor. Operators should check truck, trailer, and railcar floors for weakness or breaks before driving on them. Highway truck brakes should be set, and wheel chocks placed under the rear wheels, and recognized protection should be used to stop railroad cars from moving during loading. Dock boards and bridge plates must be secured before use, crossed slowly and carefully, and never overloaded beyond their rated capacity. Operating a forklift is a serious responsibility. Take your time. Think through the work you are doing and follow safe operating procedures every time. Never operate a forklift without hands-on training. Always report defects to maintenance. Drive in reverse if you cannot see over the load. Adjust your driving to the size and weight of the load. Use the horn at blind corners and doorways, and operate the controls smoothly without sudden starts, stops, or jerky movements.